All right, so within the last 24 hours, roughly, I'm pretty sure some of you have already seen kind of what is going to possibly happen with TTS and all that with Bruva Alfabusa and a certain JW. So before anything happens, I realized, hey, I still had the Emperor talks text to speech device going on, and I hadn't really gone back to it. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna go through these episodes, kind of in a speed run, but not so much that we're not really enjoying, right? No, want to make sure that we enjoy each and every episode. Appreciate the amount of hard work that actually goes into these videos. So I'm gonna be doing kind of some of these, maybe like 3 episodes in one video, and they kind of be doing that because I do know eventually they do get quite a bit longer. But I'm not going to waste too much more time. Let's go ahead and get into the actual video.
Actually, I think I have to go now.
Stop. You're telling me about this Inquisition thing.
Oh, hold it. Wow, I think that's your regular everyday meal of 1,000 sacrificed souls being prepared. Better go and check on it.
What was that?
Nothing, my lord. Nothing at all.
Okay, hold on real quick. I want to do the actual math for this. So, amount of days in a year. We're not going to include the leap year either because I don't even know if they would have it in this. Times the 1,000. So, 365,000 in a year, right? That people are having to be sacrificed to be able to help the Emperor, right? Now, you times that by the 10,000 years he's been on the throne. That's 3.6, a little more than 3.6 billion in those 10,000 years. Now, granted, that's not a whole lot compared to a lot of the other videos to have seen that they lose billions of people in certain battles, or that some hive worlds actually house billions and billions and billions of people, like a whole bunch of mini Earths worth, right? Or about half our population today for 10,000 years. I needed to put a number to all this.
I'll just go now. What the?
You are not going anywhere until you tell me about the Inquisition.
How did you do that?
Have you forgotten? I'm the fucking Emperor. I sit around and randomly shit out warp storms daily because I have nothing better to do. Now, tell me.
Okay, that was funny, but that was also kind of what would you call it? Like cute. You're like, and then you just see him slowly going down. No, I can't go down because the green screen is like directly right behind me. But still, I think I remember saying it in the first, second, or third episode that this Custodes should be the main character of all this. I'm hoping he is.
Why are there so many
I think I shat out at least 5 warp storms during that presentation. Really, what the fuck have you all become?
Wait, was that Kiria? It kind of looked like that armor-wise, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that one up in the air.
Labor camps and sterilizations? Murder millions over bare superstition? Excommunication of actually loyal Astartes? Have thousands of imperial planets and its valuable assets destroyed because some guy fapped with barbed wire and accidentally summoned a demon or two. Be painfully hypocritical and use Xenos and demonic weaponry in aid in order to carry across my will? Use technomonkeys?
But, my lords, the Inquisition's works has saved mankind on numerous occasions. Like during the High Fleet Leviathan crisis, where the Inquisitor known as Cryptman stepped forward. The Tyranids, which he had previously named them, had managed to outmaneuver the Imperium, but thanks to Cryptman, their threat was abolished. He had managed to have a Magos concoct a poison against the Tyranids, which they then managed to defeat them entirely with.
Am I gonna have to start writing a list over things I don't know what the fuck you are talking about because what in the balls are a Tyrannid?
So the Emperor didn't know the Tyranids, obviously, because maybe they hadn't made the entrance at that point, right? Before he actually went to the throne. But if it was in the throne, I heard someone say in a comment, although I don't remember if he mentioned if this was when he was actually mobile, that he could sense other psychers, right, within other parts of the actual Milky Way. But with that in mind, could he also sense beings that just maybe somehow exuded some kind of power, just some threat, right? Kind of like a spider sense, I guess, right? So maybe you could find out where, say, oh, there's a lot of orcs over here. hey, what are these bug things, right? Tyranids, right?
Right. It's kind of nasty. But still, it was quite heroic of him.
And how much did this threat cost to abolish?
Well, let's just say he didn't have the luxury to count the cost. Anyway, there was also one time during the First War of Armageddon where the Grey Knights helped the Space Wolves fight off a demon Primarch. Please don't get oversensitive about the Primarch thing. I really don't need more of this.
Now you are bringing up those fucking Grey Knights again, with that stupid ass baby carrier.
I did not know that it involved demons. Huh. And the fact that there was actually Grey Knights here. That's something I'm gonna have to save in my watch later.
Your Dread Knight thing. My inexistent eyes are still sore from seeing that abomination.
Yes, but truly the Space Wolves received great aid from the Grey Knights in their battle.
And then what?
What do you mean?
What happened after the battle had ended?
Well... The Space Wolves kind of wanted to save the survivors of the war, but the Inquisition sort of wanted to put them into labor camps and sterilize them and have them die off, which the... Space Wolves didn't really like that much, so, Well, there was a Cold War, and the Grey Knights betrayed the Space Wolves, and some shit happened, but that isn't important! Because, well, one time the Grey Knights stopped a bloodthirst using an ancient, very dangerous technology known as the Blood Tide from destroying a world, and it was truly glorious.
And then what?
Oh shit, they...
I like the fact that this is like the guy that they volunteer, like, hey, none of us want to be the one to do this, so you're gonna do it. And I'm pretty sure his little buddies are like peeking behind the door or something, and just laughing at him getting completely roasted by the Emperor at every single point. Essentially, a scapegoat for all the shitty things that have been going on.
Killed a massive amount of innocent sisters of battle and adorned their armor in their blood, but...
Just fucking stop. This organization, however it came to fucking be, is obviously pure, concentrated, whole-brain stupidity, and whoever came up with the idea to create it in the first place is obviously a fucking idiot. They walk around and do whatever they fucking feel like while laughing really snarky at the plebeian communities they see before them, all while having themselves and all their troops ornate in loads of fucking shiny shit and skulls to look so emperor worshipping when really they are just creeps in trench coats, and that is all they will ever be. Now, ready yourself, send this message to the scribes. I want it sent to every corner of the fucking galaxy. I, the Emperor of Mankind, hereby make my official decree that all organizations contained within the Holy Orders of the Emperor's Inquisition and the Adeptus Ministorum shall be disbanded and removed from existence. All who work for either organization shall return to their sector of birth and work there as a regular citizen once more. All who refuse shall be branded renegades until they have given up their futile strive to conquer the galaxy in the name of their dogmatic religion. Signed, the Emperor of Mankind.
Yeah!
So if he were to give that order, right? I mean, would people actually follow? Like, if he were to actually be able to communicate, like, say, in, like, the actual canon, right? Would everyone just immediately follow it? Or I mean, I'm pretty sure there'd be some resistance, right? But would that also mean that anything with the Inquisition, I mean, because technically that does include the Grey Knights, right? I feel like the Grey Knights would also then just go back to wherever, I mean, because I know a lot of them, right, at least in the beginning, were pulled up from different chapters, right? There was one guy, I think it was an Ultramarine, that he had actually saved, like, his squad or something like that because they were getting overrun. I don't remember by who, but he used the psychic abilities. Although he did save his squad or whoever, like, his buddies, they looked at him, like, in the sense of disrespect, or like it was like a taboo to use psychic abilities, right? And then so he kind of got shit on, and then eventually the Grey Knights came in, picked him up, recruited him.
Yes, I shall go ahead and do that immediately, my lord. I'll be back when I'm finished.
This is all fucking nuts. Seriously, how could an organization like this spring into Exista? Wait a moment, I remember something. Shit fuck. This can't be for real. Malcador.
Inquisitor Fyodor Karamas.
What is it? Do not waste my time. I'm very busy initiating exterminatus on this mining world. But not giving me the shiny shit we need. Seriously, we can't have our soldiers walking around without the blame.
A very important message has been sent to you directly from Holy Terror itself.
What is it about?
Here, read it.
What? This is heresy!
Can you call heresy on the Emperor? Isn't anything you do against him is what would be considered heresy? I don't. Kind of expected a response like that. And then, real quick before we move on to episode 5, obviously I see it says Malcador the hero, but I do remember Malcador also being like Malcador the Sigilite. I think it was the one. You just said it in Rogo Dorn's video, right? Where I mentioned if the Emperor ever had like an apprentice, right? Someone like kind of like a second in command that wasn't like a Primarch or maybe anybody like that. And they said no, and they said if he would have had one, it probably would have been Malcador, who I heard ended up dying when he went on the throne because it was too much for him. And that he was actually like the second most powerful psyker that was known, like just below the Emperor. I mean, well, not just below in power by a little bit, but from what I heard, the gap was still pretty big. But that's from what I do remember about him. And he was also the one that kind of got the Grey Knights started, I think, if I remember correctly. But let's go ahead and get to episode 5.
My lord, the deed has been done. And it took a fuckload of time. At least 3,000 scribes died, and I somehow managed to get a headache in the process. But the message has been sent to all inquisitorial and ecclesiarchal organizations in the galaxy. My lord? Hello? Are you awake?
Dude, does he actually sleep? No, wait, I think I remember someone saying that he wasn't even really conscious. Maybe he isn't? I don't know. It's been some time. But since we have it here, though, I mean, does he actually sleep while he's in there, or is he consistently conscious? You know?
My lord, I have completed the mission you entrusted me. I have traveled the galaxy and found these 12 individuals of character, skill, and determination. Please, if you will oversee them, I will be ready to make my sacrifice.
You have done well, my faithful servant. I trusted you to find me the most inquisitive and trustworthy this galaxy has to offer, and you succeeded. I approve of your selection, Malcador.
Thank you, my lord. These individuals will lay the foundation for the eternal watchmen of the Imperium, ever rooting out heresy and keeping mankind away from the abyss that is chaos. Now that my final duty has come to an end, I shall make my final sacrifice for you, my Emperor.
Behold the greatest sacrifice of our age! Malcador the Sigilate is no more. Henceforth he shall always and only ever be Malcador the hero.
Hold on. I had a little cough that was coming out right as he did that. And then he just fell off. But on a more serious note, I just realized, since obviously he hasn't been anywhere outside of that throne, and if he doesn't, like, if he can't really also tell kind of what's going on in the galaxy around him, and it'd be obvious that he would ask questions, right? It's like, for example, to this custody, and would it be possible that some of these custodies, if some of them were still alive from when, for example, just the example with the Thunder Warriors, because I reacted to them pretty recently, that if they had someone that was from all the way back then, could they not ask him questions, right? I mean, obviously, heresy, right? But just to kind of understand kind of what was going through his head, or like as far as like in certain decisions, right?
My lord, you're awake!
Of course I am, you fuck studies. Can't you see when people are having dramatic flashbacks?
Oh, I'm really sorry, my lord. Anyway, the deed has been done. The message has been conveyed.
Good. How they dare shit upon a sacrifice that my most loyal servant ever made by turning the organization he laid the foundation for into an elitist shitfest is inexcusable.
Excuse me, my lord. I don't think I follow.
Malcador, the hero, previously known as Malcador the Sigillating. He was my bro for life, and the first High Lord of Terra. He was the one who ruled and spread the word of the Imperium in my stead while I was tinkering with his throne. If it weren't for that disappointment of a son Magnus the Bookworm, who just had to fall to the temptations of chaos, and sent a brain-shattering psychic phone call to me with his powers, the barriers that protected my greatest project, the webway of mankind, wouldn't have been ruined, and Malcator wouldn't have had to make his sacrifice.
Oh. So, everything is Magnus's fault?
Definitely. If I could, I'd brutally spank Magnus until his ass would turn so red that his face would look pale in comparison.
Ah, I see.
Come to think of it, is Magnus still alive?
Last time I heard he's a demon prince now, residing in the Eye of Terror on the planet of the sorcerers.
Sounds really fucking nerdy, just like him. Later, I want you to send those Ultramarine Smurfs there and try to get a hold of Magnus and then bring him here to me. If they fail, they'll at least not be so fucking snobby anymore, and if they succeed, I'll get to spank Magnus so it's all good.
Very well, my lord.
Alright, so two things real quick. Now, the first one is kind of a weird question, because it just kind of popped in my head, because of him saying like it was Magnus' fault. What's your least favorite Primarch, right? I mean, some people might just say it's a traitor one, some people might say some people don't like Ultramarines, man. I mean, I necessarily don't have a problem with them, but I do understand the whole type of plot armor can get ridiculous at times, right? But also, I realize I gotta focus on the Primarchs as well. Whoa, the lights flickered there for a bit. But I really gotta focus on the Primarch-wise to kind of get an idea of who they are, because once I do that, it really gives me an idea of how the chapter or Legion works, because, you know, it has their DNA, right? And then it gets passed down. And also, as far as the one that's really been getting me to watch a lot more is going to be the Night Lords here that I'm going to be reacting to pretty soon. Just because he reminds me of like a vampire based off a thumbnail. And I'm assuming you can already tell whose version of it I'm going to be looking at.
I'll remember to tell someone that.
Now, I wonder how the disbanding of all those shitty cult organizations is going.
There is no doubt about it, fellow Inquisitors. Whoever sent this message is a heretic. There is a heretic on Terra, pretending to be the only God Emperor of mankind.
This must be the work of demons.
A cult. It must be a cult.
Yes, a gene stealer cult.
We cannot let this heretic keep doing what he is doing.
But we can't exterminate this Holy Terror, right?
I don't think so. That would be kind of counterintuitive.
If I had to choose a group within the Imperium of Man, it would probably be the Inquisition. That would probably be getting too big for its britches, if that makes sense, right? I think it was in the Dark Angels video from Baltimore where I said some of them just sound very cocky, very pompous at certain points.
Counterintuitive? What the fuck does that mean?
We cannot perform exterminatis of Holy Terra yet. But what we can do is send an inquisitorial representative there as one of the High Lords of Terra, and then argue with the rest of the High Lords until they allow us to perform a thorough search and purge of our planet.
Oh, that sounds real good.
It'll be like an annual exterminatus, with more door kicking and burning buildings.
Maybe we can check if Terry is a tool world while we're at it.
Now, my brothers and sisters, radical or Puritan, the only thing you need to do is vote for me as your inquisitorial representative. I will travel with my feet to Terra, find the culprit who's behind these mischiefs, and kill you for the Emperor.
Okay, so real quick. I thought when I was told about the text-to-speech device that it's all just comedy, it's just for funnies, right? And then it asks a lot of questions that most people tend to have when they're very new. But this is starting to shape into an actual story, right? So it's getting very interesting. Like, it's not just like joke. It's a joke here, a joke there. Sometimes they're very subtle. So it's not only funny, but it's actually, if anything, this might also be, I mean, I've heard a few people say it too. This is kind of a good way to very easily get into like a little bit of the lore, or at least give you little bridges to actually start spanning off on like what interests you more. And it's done in very little bite size. Yeah, and for some reason it just seems to be easier to understand kind of like what's going on, right? It's going to be the last episode of this video, so I might be doing like 2 or 3 per little video just to kind of group them all together and just so it's not a whole bunch of individual ones. Episode 6, let's see what happens. Hoping that this continues on with the story. Hope we see our favorite little custody. And yeah, let's get into it.
Greetings, Honorable Battle Brother. Did you hear the news? Indeed I did, Honorable Battle Brother. We have received a mission from Holy Terror itself. That is right, Honorable Battle Brother. It is our time once again to prove ourselves as Ultramarines. And with pride and honor, we shall succeed, and we will never fail our sacred duty.
Alright, so real quick, a little off topic, but that part about pride and honor, taking out pride and putting in courage. There was a great quote that somebody mentioned to me in a comment in a previous recent video, talking about how when Angron was talking to Gilliman and was telling them, you don't know anything about honor and courage, right? Because honestly, from that video, Rogadorn's video, yes. Okay, so from that one, I was also getting a great look at people really mentioning, hey, a lot of the ones who stayed loyal were typically from all nicer planets, right? And how they started compared to the ones who ended up turning traitor, which could have also played a role into kind of how they came out, right? Maybe there was a little bit of resentment to their brothers who actually came from like nicer worlds. And Angron was essentially, from what I got from that quote, is that he was a slave. And that he something about his brain getting carved by knives and some really horrible shit that happened to him. And that he tells him, you don't know anything of honor and courage. And he kind of like repeats it over and over. And then he goes on to describe courage was like standing against thousands of men, even though, or like thousands to one, right? And still like kind of going forward.
After all, the greatest of them all are the Ultramarines.
Quickly, let me know down in the comments below who your favorite Space Marines are. I'm not going to tell you mine. I want you to guess.
Soon enough I should stop hearing their constant fucking chanting in my head. I've been hearing it for so long that I'm starting to feel like I have warp traveled on a fucking bicycle.
I'm still not certain about this idea, my lord.
Are you defying me?
No, absolutely not. I was just thinking, since the Ultramarines are one of the greatest forces in the galaxy, are you 100% certain that sending them to their imminent doom on the planet of the Sorceress is a good idea?
Look, my child. I know you are fucking stupid, but I am your father, and you should never argue against your father, because he always knows best. Isn't that right?
Of course!
That's a good custodes. Your intelligence is growing remarkably fast, just like your father's.
Oh, well, thank you, Dad.
No problem, son.
Wait, did it just say giggle on the subtitle? Hey, you know what? This is our father-son moment, right?
Now, prepare your cleansing equipment. My eye lobes are itching like they are infected by a fucking Death Eater virus. Also, bring my Centurion.
Right away.
Hey, Lords of Terra, we are gathered here today to discuss the most pressing matter, the survival of the Imperium of Man, such that we have never seen before. Should we outlaw the use of laxatives to everyone but us? Because my poo has been really hard and dusty lately.
I am the law, and I think that not only should we outlaw laxatives, we should also get a new shipment of prune cakes.
Adeptus Arbitis. Although I did hear that the Mortian Guard does, at times, overshine on them, to put it nicely.
Because that really helps out with how your bowels dance out poo.
I disagree. Our generals need to poo in several random places to command those living flashlights of mine. And the workers in the t-shirt factory's gotta do that too. Can my guys go into battle with their fucking skillets, can I?
I think that this is a dumb discussion for you biological types that are going to get your rectums replaced with surface skulls.
Alright, seriously, it isn't
Wait, did he just sing that? That's pretty good.
funny anymore. First, you make fun of my hat on a daily basis, and now you send this emperor-damned message throughout the entire Imperium. Why? Can you quiet down, Towerhead? I can't hear you.
We didn't say anything, I think, did we?
I don't know. Who am I again? I forgot.
Well, if you didn't send the message, who did? Someone is obviously being very mean.
Oh, stop your whining, Decius. Can't you see that we're having a very important discussion about who here?
This must be the 20,000th time you've had that discussion.
2,374. Time to be exact.
If you've ever been in an RV, right? I've been in very few, but you know kind of how one of the big things is like that. Hey, don't poop in the toilet, right? Because it's not like you can just like hit a button and it's just gonna go like flying out of the RV, right? Like, how does that work in space? Is it kind of like like an Austin Powers type thing to think of a similarity where you just do your business and then it'll fly out, go out into space? But eventually, if it's going, and I don't know if it like freezes out there, because I mean that's what I always see in like the movies and whatnot. But like, would it ever impact something? You know, I never thought I would be having this type of discussion, talking about poop in space and just how. You know what? Let's get back to the video.
Back in my day, people didn't count with numbers. Instead, we used good old-fashioned cultures to count.
Well, well, perhaps we should outlaw counting again?
Oh yeah, I am the law!
Well, I'm gonna go back to the Ecclesiarchal Palace and figure out which one of you pruneheads ordered this message to be sent around. The Ecclesiarchy is not disbanding, and that's that.
My lords, the inquisitorial representative has arrived.
The inquisitorial representative? I hate that person.
The Inquisition? Very well. What name does he go by?
Lord Inquisitor Fyodor Karamazov.
Okay, before we go any further, this guy sounds like a Sesame character. This person sounds like somebody from South Park. This guy sounds like he's singing every time he talks. But I don't know what to make about this guy, but I have seen this dude's specific picture on multiple videos.
Sir.
What? Karamazov?
I feel thoroughly refreshed now. Chain halberds truly do wonders.
My lord, I've been thinking a little. When Magnus tried to contact you, what did he try to tell you?
Are you siding with chaos now?
No, my lord. I'm just pondering here. But I'm thinking, let's say that Magnus was actually trying to warn you about Horus's fall.
Oh, look at that. Hey, now he's asking him the questions. This is within the past 2 days, considering the SCP. I'm now 2 out of 3. Correct. And assuming what was going to happen. If you haven't seen the last 2 SCP videos that I uploaded yesterday, this probably isn't going to make sense.
Okay.
If that was the case, then Magnus wouldn't have had to send his message to you if Horus hadn't fallen.
Yes.
And Horus wouldn't have fallen if the chaplain Erebus wouldn't have tempted him to join Chaos.
Right.
And Erebus wouldn't have kept turning Primarchs to the ways of Chaos unless he hadn't tempted Lorgar over to his side together with the Word Bearers first company.
Holy shit. Okay, wait, hold on. So Erebus was the one that convinced Horus, or like, at least maybe probably gave him that final push, right? To actually go join with Chaos. And then when he says he kept turning other Primarchs. Now, as far as turning other Primarchs, I don't know if that is through Horus, right? Because I do remember Horus convinced some of the other ones that he did have like closer relationships with, and the Lorgar was also actually the one who really started seeing the Emperor as like an actual god.
Together with the Word Bearers first company captain Cor Pharaoh.
Correct.
So by that logic, wouldn't this all actually be Erebus and Cor Pharaoh's fault?
Now you are just talking out of your ass. As I said earlier, everything is Magnus's fault.
Of course, my lord, you're right. I'm sorry.
What?
Who do you all think is at fault then, considering that I didn't know this?
By the way, while you were sending that message to the Ultramarines, did you also tell them to cut Erleman's life support?
I'm sorry, my lord. I kind of forgot about that.
Do that later, then you should boot. Speaking of which, I need you to explain something to me.
What is it, my lord?
Why are you the only one ever visiting me?
Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. Only really got one thing to say. Yes, it was funny, but this brought a lot of more information, all in little snippets, which I really like. Because now, as I mentioned in, I forgot which episode it was, but it really gives me a starting point on certain things to be like, hey, that sounds interesting. You know, the part about the person who was actually Erebus. Now it makes me think like, oh, wonder what was going on with him. Why was he doing this? Why was he turning people against the Emperor and trying to turn other Primarchs to turn traitor, right, and convert over to Chaos? See, now it gives me a little bridge to kind of like branch off, right? And that was kind of the biggest thing about this. This is a lot more informative than I had originally thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be straight up comedy. But also that this whole thing is kind of, I mean, I'm hoping it continues this trend where it kind of goes into like a little story type format, right? Because so far, man, I'm honestly hooked on this. I'm really glad that I'm getting back into it. I'm going to try to get as far as I can, unless a certain GW tries to, you know, take Bruva Alfabusa's videos down. Or, I mean, worst case scenario, if that does happen, I'm pretty sure there's going to be quite a bit of people who are going to be re-uploading these either way. So that's going to go ahead though and do it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, it really does help me a lot. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I do upload. And hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. And leave me a little comments to maybe what it was. Until then, I'll see you all in the next video.